One big mistake might have screwed up the trajectory of where his career was heading.
Police pulled him over for a traffic violation at 3 a.m. They smelled alcohol, he blew, and it was way higher than what a 20-year-old's alcohol level should be.
Musso was in 3 Disney shows at the time, one of them being Prank Stars. They pulled that off the air immediately.
This caused his character to be written out of Musso's second Disney Channel show called Pair of Kings.
You hear me, Brady? I'm letting you go!
Disney stars have a tough time growing up. There's so much pressure on them to be the next biggest celebrity, and some of these stars fall victim to temptation. And when they do, Disney throws them to the curb like they did to Mitchel Musso. So let's get into it. It's not easy to be a child star, especially working for the Disney Channel. There is so much pressure to work so hard, make the money for your family, and continue your stardom. Because as you guys know, a lot of child stars, they end up just being child stars because graduating into the adult industry is difficult. And there's one person in particular I'd like to talk about today because Mitchel Musso had everything going for him and then his career was ruined. Before we get into this video, I'd like to give a shout out to a TikToker named Josh Denny because he recently made a viral video which caught my attention. Some of you guys may not recognize the name Mitchel Musso, but you may remember his face, especially if you grew up watching the Disney Channel or Hannah Montana. He's still somewhat active on social media. Doesn't really look like he's working all too much, but he had everything going for him, and really he should be like the next biggest star. If these child stars are able to follow Disney's very strict rules, then they are on their way to being the next biggest star, like Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, the Jonas Brothers. And with how hard Disney was working Mitchel, it seemed like he was going to be the next big thing. I mean, he had a music career, he had so much work in television. So you guys are probably wondering, where did everything go wrong?
His star role in Hannah Montana was opening up so many opportunities for him. Opening up voice acting opportunities in comedy horror cult classic Monster House alongside John Hader, aka Napoleon Dynamite.
Now, I have a lot of empathy for these child stars because they are, emphasis child, like children. So it's not like they really know any better. But one dumb night can just, throw away everything.
One big mistake might have screwed up the trajectory of where his career was heading. In October 2011, Mitchel Musso was arrested for a DUI at age 20.
Now, before we break down Mitchel's crazy night, I'd like to say that, driving under the influence is never acceptable. I mean, you are putting other people's lives at risk. And for someone who does have so much privilege and Disney behind them, I don't see why he would even want to risk this. But back on October 17th, 2011, he had a DUI, which I actually don't even really remember this story. Comment below if you do. The report reads, Mitchel Musso, the Disney star who played Oliver on Hannah Montana, was arrested for drunk driving in Burbank, California. Law enforcement sources tell us the 20-year-old Mitchel Musso was pulled over at 3:43 in the morning on Sunday. So he must have gone out on Saturday night and he was headed home and he got in trouble because he did not slow down when the cops were asking him to. So they realized, there's something wrong with that driver, and then he was quickly caught.
Police pulled him over for a traffic violation at 3 a.m. They smelled alcohol, he blew, and it was way higher than what a 20-year-old's alcohol level should be.
Well, technically, a 20-year-old isn't supposed to have any alcohol in their system. Nonetheless, driving a car, but he was driving a 2007 black Mercedes-Benz, and the officer detected a strong odor of alcohol. At this point, Mitchel was on a couple of shows. He was on the Disney hit Pair of Kings and a show called Prank Stars. That night, he was given a field sobriety test, and we're told he performed poorly. Law enforcement sources also tell us that Mitchel was given a breathalyzer test and blew well above 0.08, which is the legal limit. Mitchel was booked on suspicion of DUI and hauled to the nearby station. Bail was set at $5,000. And I'm sure all of those people who watched him on Disney Channel was like, wait, what is going on here? Everyone's so confused on why this happened. The Disney kids are supposed to have a pristine reputation and be the best kids out out there because they're representing the brand. But after getting a DUI, they started pulling the plug on a lot of his projects.
Musso was in 3 Disney shows at the time, one of them being Prank Stars, in which he was the host on. It's pretty much a punked ripoff, but they pulled that off the air immediately as the news came out about Mitchell.
So Prank Stars was no more. They also had another show called Pair of Kings, which I've never seen before, but they had 3 seasons of this. He was a big character, yet they wrote him out the script.
Other most notable live action show he was starring in on Disney XD, Pair of Kings, found a creative way to write him out of the script.
Now, the premise of this show doesn't make sense to me because I don't know if these people can like transform into animals or why he's like an ape in the show. He plays King Brady, and essentially they wrote that he moved back to Chicago in season 3 after he overheard Michaela say that he was immature and that he would never mature so long as he was king.
In 2011, 20-year-old Musso was charged with a DUI. This caused his character to be written out of Musso's second Disney Channel show called Pair of Kings.
That TikToker Josh brought up the fact that this was kind of an emotional moment for this show because I think a lot of the characters are really upset that he did go and do this DUI and had to be pulled off. And maybe the show would have continued 3 more seasons if he didn't do this. But watching this clip, it does seem like his co-stars are kind of like going through it as well.
You can go, grow up, or do whatever it is you have to do. I'm not gonna make you stay. You hear me, Brady? I'm letting you go. So go on. Go. Go. Go! Goodbye, Brady.
Oh, the drama of it all. But it wasn't over just yet. Mitchell actually got a plea deal when it came to the DUI case. This is about 4 months after he was caught, and he had to agree to 36 months of informal probation and ordered to pay a fine and complete an alcohol education class, which probably, good for him, like an alcohol education class. Disney should be doing those things with their child stars so when they get older and they have temptation, they know better. Mitchell put out a statement saying, "I appreciate the court allowing me to resolve my case in the manner it did today. I'm becoming an adult and I have learned firsthand that stepping up and taking responsibility is the best way to move forward." And maybe he did learn his lesson, and he probably worked closely with Disney to figure out how to really move forward. I mean, they did keep him working a little bit on the show Phineas and Ferb, which I didn't realize he was a part of that show, but because his face and his, I guess, character as a person wasn't shown on the show, they kind of like let it slide and allowed him to continue doing voice work.
The only Disney show that remained faithful to Mitchell through his DUI controversy was Phineas and Ferb, as he was still able to voice one of their characters.
There are a lot of opinions on the internet, and this person wrote, "Yeah, I understand it's a DUI, but he lost his career because of that? Damn." And, I kind of agree with Ruben. I mean, he could have killed someone, and that's facts. He really could have. And of course, that's like the most dramatic and horrible thing that could have happened. But what if it did? As I was doing research on Mitchell, I was trying to see if he's found himself in any other trouble before. And the only thing I could find is that this one TikToker claims that Tana accused him of like trying to steal drugs or steal money for drugs. There's not a lot of context here, but this is what I found.
There was that one rumor that he stole money from Tana Mongeau for drugs, but let me know what other child stars you want me to talk about.
Now, I don't know if Tana is the most trustworthy person, but it does seem like she's really in the scene and hanging out with everyone. But I don't want to put all the pressure on Mitchel Musso because I've seen a bunch of other child stars, and actually seeing this story reminded me of Matthew Underwood, and I wanted to remind you guys that he was a star on Zoe 101. It's Nickelodeon, it's different, but it's also like, what is up with these people throwing their lives away? I mean, he got in trouble for having drugs on him and for hanging out with a minor. He's like, 22 years old and hanging out with a 17-year-old. Matthew Underwood was arrested on possession of the sticky icky, as they write, as well as contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Matthew seems like he's got, a lot of problems too, because he was arrested not long after for hanging out at a hookah bar, again, messing with drugs and not following his probation. Officials tell TMZ that Matthew allegedly violated 5 terms of his probation: failing his drug test, failure to complete victim impact panel, failure to complete a substance abuse program, failure to pay court fees, and failure to pay monies assessed by the court to his probation officer. He was only paid $5 so far. So this guy has gotten himself in a bunch of trouble. Hopefully he's learned his lessons, but who knows? It's giving Orlando Brown. We've even talked about some of these people before, like Shia LaBeouf of Orlando Brown. We've got Debbie Ryan, who I didn't realize she was arrested, so maybe we'll talk about her next. But here's my email if you guys have any other video ideas for me. I'm so excited to be making content again, and hopefully I'll have like new stuff out soon because YouTube is not approving of my videos to go out, and it's really stressful, and I'm trying really hard, but thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys in a new one soon. Bye, guys.